What's going on, everybody? Guess what I have in front of me? Check this out. I got the brand new Ducati StreetFighter V4S right in front of me. And my God. You might be recognizing a completely different dealership than what I'm used to, or what you're used to. Currently, I'm in Bria of SoCal, and these guys are a Ducati Triumph dealership. They might sell other things as well. They were nice enough to let me demo out this bike for you guys and show you a little bit of the bike and take it for a little test ride. Considering this is pretty important journalistic work and everybody's anticipating this bike, I thought I'd take a drive out here and test review this bike for you. There are a couple things I want to talk about in this test ride. I'm a person who's of a shorter stature. I'm hovering somewhere around 5'6", 5'7", and the seat height for this bike is about 33.3 inches. I sat on the bike and you know, if you're comfortable riding a motorcycle, if you've ever ridden any of the Ducati Panigale series motorcycles, this will be no different than that. Sitting on the bike, putting a leg over it, it is a bit taller than the Ducati Panigale series. That being said, I usually scooch my butt a little bit towards the left and I get a leg down. And it's pretty comfortable sitting on this bike. The differences between this and the V4S, which I'm going to get into in a little bit, are pretty vast, because you have this brand new body style that is very, very unique to the StreetFighter. This is a hyper naked. We have the same 1103cc Desmo Sedici engine. This 1103cc Desmo Sedici engine will output 208 horsepower. So in your traditional V4S, the 2020 model, the 2019 model, you're going to get an output of 214 horsepower. In the V4R that I test rode as well, you're going to get 234 horsepower. So naturally, this kind of sits at home being at a 208 horsepower range. The torque figures on this bike sits around 90.4 foot-pounds of torque. Maximum torque kicks in somewhere around 10.5, 11,000 RPM, and maximum horsepower, which is 208 horsepower, kicks in somewhere around 11,000 RPM. What Ducati has done this time around, because they're Ducati, they're going to put space thrusters on this bike, and they're going to put missile launchers. So Ducati's version of a space thruster and a missile launcher is giving this bike wings. Look at this. It's got two sets of wings on each side. We have 28 kilograms of downforce at 168 miles an hour. That's what these things are for. Who's going to do 168 miles per hour on a naked bike? I'd like to see that person do 168 miles per hour on a naked bike on a Panigale. I completely understand if you do that because you're going to take it to the track. But there might be some of you that will take this bike to the track and unleash it. However, I'm really curious to know at those high speeds how the wind is going to affect you, because essentially this bike does not have a windscreen. If you take a look at it, there's no windscreen. This is similar to your KTM Super Duke R, similar to your Tuono, it's similar to your BMW S1000R. So those bikes are, quite frankly, these are hooligans bikes. These are bikes that you're meant to have a shitload of fun in. And the person that's going to buy this bike is really not a serious type of person. The person who buys this bike is going to have a sense of humor, and they're going to want to have fun. This bike is very similar to the Ducati V4S. It's got the same exhaust system as the Ducati V4S, and it's got the same single set swing arm. Essentially, it's the same exact bike, except this is on a naked form. Now, the reason why you would buy something like this over a V4S is because you're not particularly interested in using this more on the track than you are on the street. Once again, the person who buys this kind of bike has got a big sense of humor. They want to smile on their face constantly. I'm not saying that the Ducati V4S is not going to put a smile on your face, because if you've watched my other videos, you know the giggle factor is there. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that with this kind of bike, you want to pop wheelies, you want to do rolling stoppies, hopefully in a safe manner, maybe on a track somewhere. But this is the kind of bike that you would do that in, and it's really, really a fun bike. So with this bike, it's outfitted with the Rosso Corsa 2 tires, and you have these Marchesini forged wheels, and I think they're absolutely gorgeous. I think they're beautiful looking. The brakes, they're Brembo brakes, same as the V4S. And not much else has changed with this bike aside from the aesthetics and aside from the brake horsepower and the torque. In the front, you have this beautiful Joker face, as they call it, front fascia, which I think looks pretty cool. Let me see if I can turn on the light for you guys so you can see what that looks like. There we go. Yeah, look at that front fascia. It's pretty, isn't it? Let's see here. There goes the high beams. Hopefully that comes out on my camera, because I'm really close to this thing. Hopefully it works out. Let me see if I can move my head in different positions here so you can get different angles. The last thing I want to cover is the suspension on this bike. With this bike, you get the same suspension as you would on the V4S. It's all trick, it's all electronic, and it's all adjustable within the parameters of the bike itself. Other than that, the seat is pretty much similar to the V4. It's very, very comfortable. You have the back pillion seat, which is pretty comfortable as well. I mean, I really haven't sat in the pillion seat. There's no reason for me to do that. But I'm assuming whoever's that's going to sit over here has got a pretty grippy surface that they're not going to be sliding off. You don't want anybody sliding off back here, so it looks pretty grippy. So if you're the type of person who likes to go carbon fiber crazy, you have the option with this bike to get carbon fiber replacements for these plastic pieces. Now, between me and you, this bike is going for about $20,000. If you're going to pay $20,000 for a bike of this nature, it's nice to have carbon pieces that are already fitted into the bike. That's just me. If I'm going to buy a $20,000 bike, come on, just give me some carbon. It's not going to cost you extra to put them in there. This is also plastic, and I would like that in carbon as well. And I would like this in carbon, and then you would have something like a perfect bike. Now, a lot of people are wondering if you can put a dry clutch system or a clear clutch on this engine, but from the looks of it, I don't think that's quite kind of possible. Because if you look at it, there are bolts that are here, there are bolts that are here. There's nothing like the V4S or the V2 or the 959 where there are bolts here and then you can slide this out and put a clear clutch cover. So I'm not sure if that's going to be possible. I'd like to see what the manufacturers start creating for this bike, because there are people that are going to want to customize the bike to their own tastes and to their styles. But so far, I don't see anything. Let's see. So there's a couple things that I want to mention that, well, first of all, I like everything about this bike with the exception of these things. Number one, these could have been carbon fiber, these plastic pieces. It just doesn't belong on a $20,000 bike. So if you're going to put them on, make sure they're carbon in the future, Ducati, please. Other than that, it does not have heated grips. And it does not have cruise control. You would think that an upright bike like this would have cruise control, but it does not have cruise control. Now, the second gripe I have with this bike is that they took the exhaust right off of the V4S. It almost feels like it was kind of like an afterthought. I wish they thought about it a little bit more, and I wish they customized the exhaust for this bike, because when you're looking at this bike from a distance, it almost looks like this exhaust could have been shaped a little bit differently just to fit this bike. And I'd like to see in the future what they come out with for this bike, like an Acropovic exhaust or something similar to that. But the exhaust kind of looks like an afterthought to me. Other than that, I don't have any other gripes with the bike. And I think I'm pretty much done describing everything about the bike. And now I think it's time for us to take it for a little test ride and see what it's like on the road. Alright, so initially didn't want to start up, but I think the battery was low, and the bike only has about 3 miles. First impressions, it is super comfy. Like I mentioned, I'm a guy who's about 5'6", and I'm pretty comfortable. Wow, I can ride this thing for a long time. Just like your typical Panigale, it does not like low revs. I love the quick downshift. Sounds very, very similar to a Ducati V4. It's pretty light, pretty flickable. Oh, I love the downshifts. I love the rev matching. It's got plenty of grunt. Torque is there. I love the downshifting, and I love the little upshifts with the rev matching. Wow, feels really good. The exhaust sounds different than the V4S though. It sounds a little different. I don't know what they did to it. So the big question is it comfortable? Where am I sitting at 5'6", 5'7"? Where am I sitting? Well, I can tell you I'm very close to the grip, to the tank. And so my crotch is very, very close to the tank right now, but that's going to probably change whenever I'm riding this bike a little bit hard and twisting it into the corners. My body position is definitely going to change, but on the street, at my stature, I'm pretty close to the tank. But that's just the way it is with the Panigale series for me as well. ...208 horsepower for a naked. That is just mind-boggling. Fastest hyper naked on the market at the current moment. And damn, it's pretty exciting, I'll tell you that. It is an exciting little machine. Oh, look at that, we got some twisties over here. Riding this bike as a daily rider must be seriously comfortable. I would love to have this bike as a daily rider. Oh, I am totally lost. I have no idea where I am. Completely new neighborhood to me. I was given a route to go, but unfortunately, my dudes, I forgot where that route is. I'm really bad with directions. As you know in my previous videos, there's a straight path I take and a straight path I come back. Same thing in this situation, but regardless, we're gonna have fun and I'm gonna be informative with you guys. Brakes are amazing on this bike. I mean, there's really no difference between this bike and the V4. Got the dog's attention, that's for sure. Man, flickable, very, very flickable. It's very easy to ride too because it doesn't have that low-end grunt that you think it would have. If you twist the throttle like heavily, yeah, you will get a lot of low-end grunt. But not so much when you're anywhere before 8,000 RPM. Oh yeah, now I felt it. After 8,000 RPM, this thing is a beast. It sounds so vicious, so brutal. Man, it's a really tough choice between this and the V4. The V4, you're looking at a bike that's kind of a serious kind of bike. You want to take that to the track. It's going to get you tired because you're not going to be able to ride it for a long period of time. Although in the 2020 models, they have made some significant changes that does make it a bike that you can ride every single day and it'll be comfortable. But let's just admit, it's a race bike for the street, right? That being said, this is somewhere in the middle because yes, it is kind of like a race bike. It's over 200 horsepower, making it a superbike class bike. 1103cc engine, over 100 foot-pounds of torque. But that being said, it's not a serious bike like the V4S where it's got fairings and it's all, you look at it and it looks like it's going a million miles per hour. Yeah, this does look like it's going a million miles per hour as well because it's Ducati red and it's got those wings. I mean, you can't really hide from those wings. You see them everywhere you go. I already turned a couple of heads. What's this guy doing? But regardless, this is one of those comfortable bikes that you can ride everywhere. It definitely needs some cruise control, I'll tell you that though. And in the wintertime, depending on where this bike is being ridden, it would benefit from having some heated grips, which this bike does not have. Wow. It does not want to pull a wheelie, but it's not like I'm trying to pull a wheelie. You just think that a bike like this would probably do that because it's a hyper naked and that's what hyper nakeds do. They pop wheelies while you're in second, while you're in third, of course in first, but you would expect it to do that, but it's not doing that, and that's okay. Not everybody's into wheelies, but again, you would expect that to do this. But it's so much fun. Woo! It is a lot of fun, man. Is it worth the $20,000 price tag? I'd have to ride this back to back with something similar to like a KTM 1290R to really tell the difference if this bike is worth the $20,000 asking price or not. I am so lost. No idea where I am. These guys are probably going to watch the video and be like, alright, he's banned. He's never going to get another bike again. He has no idea where he's going. But to my defense, it's my first time around this neighborhood, and if it wasn't for a GPS, I'd be lost every day wherever I go. It's okay to admit your own weaknesses. It's okay. No one cares. So I'm currently very comfortable in this bike, standing on one leg, even though it is a higher seat than I'm used to. The mirrors, like the V4, does not vibrate. The mirrors on the V4 are very, very vibrating. Similar to the V2 and the 959, but on this bike, you could see they put metal here. These things are all metal, it's not plastic. I guess they didn't have to care so much about weight because it's not a race bike. But it's metal, it doesn't vibrate, which is pretty good. I can see pretty clearly out of them, and gives me pretty good indication of who's behind me at all times. Super comfortable bike, very fun to ride. I can understand why people were anticipating this bike. I just wish I was good at directions so I can figure out where these roads were, because apparently there were some twisty roads that I was meant to go to. But regardless, I could only imagine how well this bike tracks the corners. Just like the V4, you got the Olin suspension over here. Once I pull over, we're going to go over the dash a little bit as well, just so you can take a look and see what it looks like. But I'll do a full dash review soon. I'll do a full exhaust video soon. I'll do a full walk around video soon. All that's to come along with this review. If you're watching this review, you probably watched those videos already, but I'm not sure in which sequence I'm going to be releasing everything, but it'll definitely be out there. Man, this thing is ultra smooth. Takes the bumps like a champ. Like, there's really no bumps on the road, but I'm trying to take them purposefully so I can demonstrate for you and talk to you about it. But man, it's taking these bumps like a champ. It is super comfortable. I can only imagine dialing the suspension down to a comfortable street level. I'm not really sure where it's at currently, but I can only imagine. Wow. So there you have it, the test ride of the 2020 Ducati StreetFighter V4S. I love the bike, man. It feels so good. Putting a leg over this thing gives you a special feeling, like you're in something really exquisite and finely tuned and upscale. The way everything feels, the way all the buttons are positioned, I think it's pretty great. I think it works really well. And ergonomically, this bike is super comfortable, which a lot of you are probably wondering. Suspension wise, very comfortable as well. I didn't feel like I was tired or got tired from riding the bike at all. I can ride this thing for hours and hours. And aside from that, you know, the more I look at it, the more I like it, because it is kind of a brute, you know. It's a very macho looking bike. It's not particularly pretty, and it's not ugly. It's kind of like a brute, you know, kind of like a tough guy. This bike kind of has like a tough guy look to it, and I think I like that about this bike. It's kind of like a hooligan's bike. A guy who buys this bike, a person who buys this bike, a man or a woman these days, who knows, whatever, to each their own, is going to want a fun bike, and I can definitely see how this bike is so much fun. Alright, well, that pretty much wraps it up for this review of this bike. Write your comments and your questions down below. I'd like to know if you would rather buy this bike or you would buy the V4S instead. What are your reasons for getting this bike? And let me know if you have any questions. And please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.